Now that pitchers being a part of the offense has effectively stopped, we can look back on what a wild time it really was. Pitchers stealing bases isn't supposed to happen. Guys who can legally wear jackets on the base paths just should not be swiping sacks, TM foolish baseball. They used to swipe sacks though, and it was fun. As I started digging into the history, I discovered something similar to my video about the final pitcher home runs. There's a handful of teams that haven't seen a pitcher steal a base since Nam, but it goes even further this time. There's 4 MLB teams that have never had a pitcher steal a base before. As wild as that sounds, there are some mitigating factors for some of these teams. See, all the franchises that don't have one were created after 1973, when the designated hitter was added to the AL. Any new franchises added to the American League would have to wait for interleague play to begin in 1997 to see their pitchers at the plate. I call this 23-year time frame of AL pitchers being offensive non-factors as the pure DH era. The Blue Jays, the Mariners, and the Tampa Bay Rays were all created during or just after the pure DH era. None of them have a pitcher stolen base, but also none of them played more than 250 games in a National League park, before the DH, that is. These teams combined to have pitchers reach base a measly 219 times over 23 years of opportunity, and I just find it hard to blame them for this. They never really had a good chance. Toronto gets a half credit because in 1980, outfielder Bob Baylor stole a base in a game that he also pitched in, but he was not a pitcher, so he gets the asterisk. The 4th team, however, I think we can blame them all that we want. Established in 1993, this team is in the National League and played over 4,000 games in NL ballparks before 2022. This team is the Florida Marlins. They saw pitchers reach base over 1,000 times in their 27 years of opportunity, and they have absolutely nothing to show for it. They never really tried either. Dontrelle Willis was caught stealing once in 2007, and that's it. Every other team outside of those 4 have at least one stolen base by a pitcher, and I was able to find footage for over half the steals on this list. I couldn't find any kind of media for anything pre-1972, so we're gonna go over all of those before we can get to the clips. Let's dive in. The team with the longest running championship drought also has the longest pitcher stolen base drought. The franchise in Cleveland. The Spiders, I think they call them. Back on July 5th, 1967, lefty starter John O'Donohue, a one-time All-Star, was on the mound for Cleveland. He threw 6 1/3 innings of one-run ball. He also reached first base on a fielder's choice, and then stole second base off 5-time Gold Glove winner Bill Freehan. As of right now, it's been over 21,000 days since a Cleveland pitcher stole a base, and it's gonna stay that way until Tim Herron gets off his lazy butt and makes that change for himself. This isn't a request, Tim. This is a must. Moving forward, the second longest pitcher stolen base drought is held by the same team as the second longest pitcher home run drought, the New York Yankees. On August 25th, 1968, the Yankees and the Tigers met for a doubleheader at Yankee Stadium. The second game started at 8:03 p.m. and ended as a tie after 19 innings. The American League had a 1 a.m. curfew at the time, and it ended as a 3-3 tie to be replayed the next day. A Yankee reliever named Dooley Womack was sent up to the mound in inning 16 and threw 4 scoreless, while also stealing second after a single up the middle. Coincidentally, this steal was also off the greatest Tigers catcher of all time, Bill Freehan, who entered the game as a pinch hitter in the 7th inning. Salute to you, Dooley Womack. The next team's stolen base lore has a weird wrinkle to it. The Kansas City Royals have only had 2 stolen bases by a pitcher ever, and they both happened in a 2-week span in 1969. On June 7th, Wally Bunker threw 4 innings in a loss to the Red Sox and stole second after a single to left. Wally joined his teammate Mike Hedlund, as 11 days before, Mike had also hit a single and stole second, both steals coming off Red Sox catcher Russ Gibson. That's it for their entire history. Our next pitcher should be a first ballot inductee from the Old Timers Committee for the Hall of Pretty Good, Mickey Lolich of the Detroit Tigers. In his 3rd start of the year in 1970, Mickey reached base off pitcher Rich Hand and got around to second on a Dick McAuliffe single. Mickey and Dick proceeded to pull off a double steal on 2-time Gold Glove catcher Ray Foss. Al Kaline would knock them both in. They just don't make names like they used to anymore. Mickey also pitched a complete game win, giving up 4 and striking out 7. Our 5th longest drought belongs to the Minnesota Twins. Just as he owns the most recent Twins pitcher home run, Hall of Famer Jim Cott also owns the last active thievery for a Twins pitcher. On July 30th, 1971, he drew a second-inning walk and then stole second off MVP and 3-time Gold Glove winner Thurman Munson. 2 weeks later, on August 16th, 1971, the final pre-DH pitcher steal occurred in Milwaukee. Jim Palmer of the Baltimore Orioles, batting in the 9th inning of a complete game win, was walked. Jim took that personally. He then stole second base off All-Star catcher Ellie Rodriguez. He gave up 2 unearned runs in the complete game win, and he left it all on the field that day. As the pure DH era began in 1973, pitchers pitchers taking to the bases all but vanished in the American League. Most AL teams seemed to choose a pitcher who could run and stuck with him. The Blue Jays used Dave Stieb, the Yankees had Ron Guidry, and the Tigers utilized Jack Morris a whopping 19 times as a runner. But no team utilized the pitcher pinch runner quite like the Oakland Athletics. During the course of the pure DH era, American League pitchers stole a total of 2 bases. They were both for members of the Oakland Athletics. Meet the king of the pitcher pinch runner, Blue Moon Odom. Between 1966 and 75, Odom was the starting pitcher for 216 games for the A's. He was used as a pinch runner 105 times during that span. In just 73 and 74, Odom pinch ran 29 times, which is 10 more times than any other pitcher during the entire pure DH era. Odom does own one of the 2 stolen bases during the pure DH era. In April 1973, Blue Moon Odom entered the game in the 8th inning as a pinch runner and stole his 6th career base, the final one of his career. It was off former Athletic all-star catcher Dave Duncan. After Odom was traded in 75, the market for pitcher stealing bases crashed hard. There wasn't a pitcher stolen base for 15 years, although Cleveland pitcher Rick Waits and King Odom were both caught at one point. Things would change when Tony La Russa would take over as skipper of the A's, and that opened the door for some weirdness. On July 3rd, 1988, the Athletics and the Blue Jays played a 16-inning slugfest that was unique enough for somebody to record it and then upload it to YouTube. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the future. In the 12th inning of this slugfest, Blue Jays closer Tom Hankey beamed DH Don Baylor, bringing up Jose Canseco, who had already gone yard twice today. Now, we get some La Russa magic here. Tony decides to pinch run reliever Gene Nelson and sends him on the first pitch. And guess what?
He's going! Look at his bounce throw! Gene Nelson steals second base!
Gene Nelson, who would run the bases 6 times in his career, stole on a straight steal off World Series MVP catcher Pat Borders. A few pitches later, Canseco would hit his 3rd homer of the day, putting the ball about 40 rows deep into the left field stands and making sure Nelson would score. Our next team catapults us into the SportsCenter era. There's 4 stolen bases on this list between 2001 and 2005 that I could only find SportsCenter recaps for, thanks to this YouTube channel. Our first team of the SportsCenter era is the Chicago White Sox. On July 12, 2001, starter Kip Wells lined a single to right, advanced on a Ray Durham single, and then stole second on the first pitch. See, there he goes. He's scoring on a Chris Singleton double right now, but he got there because he stole a base. Next up is the Texas Rangers. On June 16, 2002, 37-year-old Kenny Rogers went 1-for-1 with a walk. After ripping an RBI single, Kenny stole second off 3-time Gold Glove winner Brad Ausmus on the first pitch. On July 22, 2002, Mike Hampton said, "Hold my Coors Banquet. I'm gonna make it on a SportsCenter." Pitching for the Rockies, he went 2 for 2 that day and stole a base off D-backs all-star catcher Damian Miller. The second time Mike got on, he was feeling himself a little bit, and Damian Miller saw that. He gunned him down. He became the first pitcher to steal a base and get caught stealing in the same game since Dick Ruthven in 1974. Our final team of the SportsCenter era is the Houston Astros. On May 25, 2005, Brandon Bax singled off Greg Maddux and then proceeded to swipe second. He would end up scoring on an Orlando Palmeiro single.
First, let's play a game of Wrigley Idol, shall we?
Come on, everybody!
If you've made it to this point in the video, I'm going to guess that you like baseball a lot. I do too, admittedly. If you enjoy watching videos like this, I enjoy making them. So if you want to see more, hit some of the buttons down below the 2009 D-backs right now. Without further ado, let's watch some pitchers swipe some sacks. TM.
Greinke takes off, and Hart will let him run. A delay steal. Zach Greinke swipes second base.
Well, they weren't holding him on. Penny was behind on a play. It's taking some pressure off of him.
Lee's going. Flores' throw not in time. And he's got a stolen base, which he's done before.
Look at the jump for Chris Medlin. Torres never paid attention to him, and Chris has an easy stolen base.
No balls, 2 strikes. Sangrani's running and has just stolen a base. How about that?
Well, they weren't paying any attention to him at all.
Taken off is Kelly for third base, and he will steal it as Pedroia takes ball 4.
They were paying absolutely no attention to Joe Kelly, and he had a running lead. Watch him run before the pitcher even throws the ball. Never even.
Lackey takes off. The throw to second. He is saved.
Talk about an ambush.
He just stole second. First of his career, he might as well just take the bag, right? And now the runner is caught out at second base, and Lackey is back safely.
It looked from up here like he was out.
Yeah, he looks like.
Runner goes without a throw. Hey, Ross Stripling with a stolen base.
We saw that a few starts ago from Alex Wood with 2 outs. Then he took the mound and ended up with cramps. I hope Ross is feeling a little better than that. But remember, Ross Stripling has been a pinch runner for the Dodgers.
This is the only evidence I could find for Tyson Ross, but it did happen.
Yeah, you see him pointing back. That's Skip Schumacher because he picked something out on the move of Jameson Taillon.
Now a ground ball to shortstop. Mercer on the backhand. The throw is good.
And you ultimately do decide to swing. Flaherty takes off, and a little sneak attack, stolen base.
A nice tight turn at third.
Look at Max Scherzer. Ambush, steal.
There goes Cueto. Strike 3. And Cueto steals second base. Not going to pay attention to the runner. You're going to get burned. Johnny Cueto picked a great pitch to go on, but
And Peacock on the move that time. What is going on down there?
A good read on a pitch in the dirt right there. He was actually running on the pitch.
He was off and running from the get-go that time.
That should be a stolen base. Even though the pitch was in the dirt, he was running as the ball was being delivered. That should be a stolen base.
This is the last one before the DH, and it's great. This is the hit.
Stroman hits a one-hopper down to third, and Alvarez throws it wide.
Stroman doesn't see the error, doesn't really speed up, then gives it a little fist bump.
He got a pitch.
Stroman takes off for second, and the throw goes into center field, and he'll go to third.
He barely jogged to first, then he took off on the first pitch. Pitchers are athletes too.
Sooner than later, they hope. Shohei's running. Pitches a strike throw to second, not close. Shohei steals the bag. That's his 14th stolen base. That's unbelievable.